Good morning, welcome to everyone to a new Q&A session organized by the Interreg Alpine Space Program. As most of you already know, we are organizing a series of events to support and prepare you the best way possible for our first call for project proposals. Today we will focus on a very important and crucial topic. We will concentrate on our new e-monitoring system called Jems. So my name is Nicolas Chesnel. I'm project officer in charge of this platform at the Joint Secretariat, and I will guide you during this Q&A session. And I hope after this 1 hour and a half, Jems won't have any secret for you. But what can you expect during this session? In the end, we can compare, if you can show the next slide. In the end, we can compare the application phase of Jems to a stage of Tour de France or Giro d'Italia. And first of all, we will bring you to the starting line and present you how to register to the Jems platform. When this will be done, we will show you how you can form a team to face the upcoming summits and present you the possibility to add collaborators or co-workers on this platform. After, the slope will become steep, and we will explain you how to fill in the application form and pass the different summits, which are the different sections of your application form. But then, the end of the stage will become closer. Pressure will be growing and you will have to sprint to the finish line. We'll show you how to submit your application form on time before the deadline of the 28th of February. So no need to arrive first, just with a complete application form. That will be the objective. But I won't be alone during this session. My colleague Elisa Kirschbaumer will accompany us during this session. And if I'm not wrong, we'll have an interactive approach. So Elisa, can you tell us a bit more on this?
Yes, sure. Hello, everybody, also from my side. And as most of you know from our previous Q&A session, we will interact with you through Slido. And so, like, I already invite you now to be active and pose all the questions that you may have during this 1 hour and a half. Some questions already arrived, I've seen, so like keep asking. And just to briefly like get you in the Slido world and also sense a bit like who of you is taking part into today's session, we have 3 initial questions that we would like to pose you. And so like I invite you all to type in the browser slido.com, and you can use the hashtag ASPGems. And once you are on Slido, you should be able to see the first question that we are asking you today, which I invite you now to answer. So first of all, we would like to know who of you in the past already worked with EMS, which was like the system we were using before Jems, just to have an idea of like how far you are new into this kind of systems, or how far you actually used also the one in the past. And I see that most of you have known EMS, which is somehow good news, because we can like show you the improvements that we have now compared to the past. At the same time, for those one who have no familiarity, it would be still like good probably to get to know Jems without having to go through EMS, because it's much more user-friendly, and so especially for newcomers should be a much smoother way to enter the Alpine space world. Okay, so I see that more or less the trend is kind of the same, so the majority knows EMS. I will then now close this question, and we can go to the second one, which is, did you already start to fill in an application form on Jems? So you have multiple choices, so either it's a yes, but you have only one, yes, and you are actually working on several proposals, no, but you already registered into the portal, and nothing done so far. So for those of you who didn't nor register nor started to work on the system. And I see that most of you didn't still enter Jems, which is, I mean, fair enough, because we launched it officially on Friday. So I guess it's quite normal that some of you still didn't start to work on that. Still, it's good to see that some people actually already started to fill in also an application. Okay, so I guess I see that some more people are joining in the meantime. And then let's go to the last question, which is for those of you who actually already started to work a bit of Jems, what is your first feeling about that? So are you happy and you have the feeling that it looks promising? Neutral, so you want to wait the end of February to judge, or you are not that happy, a bit grumpy, and you miss the EMS. So let's see, like I've seen that not many of you already worked on that, so I guess that not many of you can answer this question. I see that at the moment the majority is a bit cautious. You don't want to say too much. Grumpy, I hope not many, because honestly, like this new system is much more user-friendly, much more clear. So like we really hope that if some of you is grumpy now, it won't be like that at the end of the submission. So let's, and hopefully you will also see like after this 1 hour and a half we will spend together that the system is much better than before. Okay, so I guess that we can also close this one. And for the one who replied happy, you will have 5 bonus points when we will assess your proposal. So some of you have been lucky. No, I'm joking. Okay, so yes, that was a good start, I guess, also for Nicolas to sense a bit how what is your feelings, how much knowledge you have about Jems. So I guess we can now start to really look in how the system works. I remind you once again to really ask all the questions you might have now, because it's a good opportunity. Just please remember that we are now talking about step 1 for classic project. So don't ask question for step 2 of the classic project, because we won't address that now. And don't think about the small scale project, because again, we will have a separate moment to address these questions. So really concentrate only on the first step of classic project, and don't confuse too much things with central for those of you who maybe participated in the Jems session, which was given by the Central Europe program, because for some parts there are some differences which of course like won't apply to both projects. But again, if you have any question about that as well, we will of course let you know like what is valid for Central and what is valid for Alpine Space. So I guess that's it from my side, and I give back the word to Nicolas, so we start to get to know the Jems.
Thank you, Elisa. So I've seen that some of you didn't register yet on the Jems system. So I will maybe answer a very basic question. Where is Jems? So I will show you how to access the platform. So I will start to share my screen and we'll go on our website. So I hope you know it already. And you can access the Jems platform under the section for project applicants. We have a dedicated page on Jems. And here you can find the link to the platform. So it's quite easy to reach it. And so I will show you how to register in the system. So it's very simple. You have a button called Create Account. You click on it. And you have to fill in basic information to start the registration process. So I will just create one account and start the procedure. I will insert an email address and a password. As you can see, there are some minimum security requirements for creating an account. So we expect a minimum length of 10 characters for creating a new account. And the password should contain at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one digit, and one special character. So if you don't meet all these criteria, you cannot create your account. So I will now try to follow and respect all these rules. And you can see the warning message in red disappear when I fulfill all these criteria, when I create my password. You check the term and service and policy, and you can register. Then you will see a green message appearing, meaning that you have successfully registered to the system. You will receive an automatic email for confirming your registration to the Jems platform. So it will arrive directly on the email address inserted here when you have created your account. You will receive a link, and to confirm your registration, you click on it, and then you will be ready for joining Jems. So let's take the case I've created my account, and I will now log in with my new account, and I will take it. I will show you now how the first page look like. Basically, you have access to very few functionalities at the beginning. You have your own dashboard where you will see your future applications and what are the codes open. Otherwise, when you navigate on the platform, you can have access to your own profile. And here, if you click on it, you can modify name, first name if necessary, or reset your password if you want to change it. But let's come back to the dashboard, and I will show you how to create a project. So it's very simple. You have the list of all the open codes, and you just have to click on apply for the code you would like to apply on. So let's select this one for the code 1. And you have access to some basic information, and you click on the bottom page of the page on apply, and you just have to insert the name of your project proposal. So let's create a new one, and you can click on the button create project application, and that's it. You can see automatically appearing on the first page your new project proposal with the acronym you just inserted. You can find the ID number of your proposal, so it's automatically generated by the system, so you don't have any influence on it. And after these first steps, you are ready to start to fill in your application form. But we'll make a short break now and see if there are first questions. So, Elisa, is the Slido boiling of questions?
Yes, it is. We do have already some questions on that, and we will now go through them. I will try, as usual, to follow a bit the order of what we are talking about. So I see one major question which we received already also in the past days, which is quite important. So I registered for Jems but never got the confirmation email. What now?
So yeah, we observe this little problem for some of you. So it may happen that the automatic email is sent to you, but is arrived on the spam folder. So maybe you can check it and see if by any chance you can find this email under this specific folder. Otherwise, we face some institution are, let's say, some strong IT security requirement, and the automatic email is blocked by your IT security system. So don't worry if it's the case, and if you don't receive anything in your mailbox, you can contact us. We have an help desk, and you just drop us a line to the email address jems@alpinespace.eu, and we will activate manually your account. So basically, if after 15-20 minutes you didn't receive anything and there is still nothing in your spam folder, just drop us a line and we will take care of activating your account.
Thank you, Nicolas. And always remaining on the topic of registration, we have a question about terms of service and privacy policy, which it seems that it's not available now to consult before registering to Jems.
Yes, so it's true. This function is not working at the moment. We are facing a little bug, a little deficiency. So we are working on fixing it as soon as possible. So we didn't want to postpone the launch of the code, so we decided to launch it, and despite this little bug. So we are working on it, and we will solve it as soon as possible.
Thank you, Nico. We have then some questions I see which are a bit similar, so they basically compare a bit the Jems for the Alpine Space and the Central Europe program. So we have, for example, a question which is asking, are the login data for Jems of the Alpine Space valid also for Jems for other Interreg programs? And I see some other question like, why do I need a separate accounts for Jems for the Alpine Space and Central? And someone else is also asking, for example, why we don't use the funding and tender portal instead of using Jems. So like if you can address all of them together, I guess it's easier.
So basically, Jems is a software used by different programs. So Central Europe, as it was mentioned, but also by us. And there's going to be around 30, 40 programs, Interact programs using the Jems in the future. But we are using the same software, but we have different installations. So you need each time to register to every single Jems platform used by every single program. So the data is not shared between all the Interact programs, so you have to create your own account. So if you already register for Central Europe, you have to create again a new account for the Interact Alpha Space program. And if in the future you will apply for instance, a new call for the Interact Med, they will be using also Jems in the future, then you will have to create again a new account. So it's very separate account you have to use between all the program.
Thank you very much. And I'm scrolling through the question. Another one which is still quite generic that we can maybe address now. Someone is asking if Jems will then also be used to manage and report the finance project, or if it will be used only for the application phase.
So yeah, it will be used for the application phase and also at a later stage for the happy few invited in step 2 and then approved to report cost and to create project partner reports and project reports. So for the reporting functionality, it will be available via Jems, which should be important to underline that it's not a management tool per se, but it will be used for reporting cost and reporting activities to the program. So it's important to make this little distinction. But yes, it's foreseen.
Thank you. And I see there was again another question, are the accounts in EMS valid also for Jems? Do we need to make a new account? And I mean, for this one, as you have just seen, Nicolas said that, of course, we have to register for the Jems because it's just two different portal and systems, so they are not connected in any way. And I will then maybe now leave the other question for the next part, because I've seen that we go already more like into the management of the partner part or the content of the application form. So if you want, Nicolas, we can proceed with the second part and then we take on the other question later on.
Okay, fine with me. So I will share again my screen and we'll go again on the Jems platform. So let's be back in the dashboard, and I will show you now that how to fill in the application form. So we all know it's quite challenging, but first of all, it's quite important to also have some support and to see if you can receive some help. So I will show you how to add collaborators and coworkers in Jems. So it's very easy. So first of all, you have to access the application form you have just created. And then you will see on the left side the menu of your application form, and you will see all the sections you will have to fill in. And at the bottom, you will have one specific section called Project Privileges. And it's here where you can manage who can take part in the drafting of your application form. So the very first information you will see, it's your own account with your email address. And you can observe 3 different, let's say, user right or user privileges. The first one, it's view. So basically, it's to grant to someone read-only access to your application form. The second option is edit. So an edit access will allow a coworker to work on every single section available in the application form. And there is a third section called manage. Here we can say it's kind of lead applicant role. So if you need to have support in managing different users working and continue to edit on the system, this is a specific option. So basically manage, it's like a second lead applicant. So I will show you how to insert a new coworker in the system. And what you have to do is to basically insert an email address, like it's a case for your own account. So first of all, you have to ask your coworker to register in the system and to collect his or her email address. And it's important to have no typo or mistake done when you are collecting the email address, because let's start to fill in and to enter one address. If I try to add this new user, here I've made a mistake, or maybe the system is telling me there is something wrong with the collaborator I would like to assign. In fact, I made on purpose a mistake to show you that it's very important to be careful with the way you are typing the email address and the username of your coworker. And if I add a correct one, here it was just a matter of lower and case to be added. And when there is no typo, the project collaborator is added successfully. So it's very important to be careful when you will be adding new users, to be careful with the way you write down the email address. If you are not happy with someone, you can delete or remove the access to your application by using the little trash bin. And you can select the user right you would like to grant to your new coworker. So here in this case, I can give a edit access. So it's quite important to have in mind these three different types of user rights. So read-only access, edit access, and a kind of lead applicant management access. So what you have to keep in mind, the management access is covering at the same time, so the management of user privilege and the edit rights. What you also have to keep in mind, it's only the people having the management or edit access can submit the application form, but people having a read-only access cannot do this very specific action in the system. So you have to be careful when you will be granting these user rights. So it's quite important for you to pay attention to your internal communication and to know who is doing what and when. We recommend you to not work on the same page at the same time, because data may be overwritten, so it's a bit dangerous and you are playing with fire if you do so. And you have to agree internally within your partnership or within your team who will be in charge of submitting the application form, just to avoid any misunderstanding. And finally, last advice, we advise you to work within a closed circle, to not grant right access or to a lot of people. It's better to work in a closed circle just to be sure that you control more or less the situation. So that's more or less all the section project privilege you can find here is working, and how you can add collaborator and coworkers in the Jems platform. And now let's make a little break and see if you have some question around this topic.
Yes, we do have many questions that came in, and I would just like to make one comment regarding one question. Someone was like reacting to the fact that we said that Jems is used basically by almost 40 programs, and each time you have to create a separate account. It's also true that Jems is used basically by only Interreg programs, so basically only transnational transboundary programs, which means that no one will ever be able to apply for 40 different programs, because they normally involved either only 2 countries or maybe even 2 regions. So this is the reason why you normally as entity won't be really eligible to apply for all these programs, but maybe for only 2 or 3. So in this sense, like it makes sense that you have to register each time, because it will never happen. You have to register like dozens of times in that sense. Coming to the question, we have still one which is related to what we talked about before. So the registration, I registered in Jems but forgot my password. What do I do since I don't see any recover password option?
So it's very simple. You have to send us an email just so that we can reset your password. So we are among the very first program using the Jems platform. So we are using one of the first version of the software, and so far the developers didn't develop a reset password function. So yeah, basically it's very simple. You just have to drop us a line and we will reset a password for you, a temporary one, and we will guide you and show you how to reset and to have your own password afterwards.
Thank you. And we have two questions which are quite connected now. Someone is asking, do all partners need to create a user account on Jems, or that is only for the lead applicant? And at the same time, one other question regards when adding a co-worker, it does not work if the person is not already registered in Jems. So I guess we can address them both together.
So yeah, for the very last question, it's very somewhat mandatory for someone, if you want to add a coworker, that this person is registered in the system. Without this very first step, you cannot add this person as a coworker. So it's a minimum requirement for joining you on Jems for working on your application form. And coming back to the very first question, here it's a matter of internal organization. If you want to open your application form for editing to all your partners, it's up to you to decide if you want to do or if you want to proceed like this. But it's a matter of internal organization. So it depends on the number of people you would like to collaborate in the drafting of your proposal. But it's not mandatory that you have all your partners registered in the system at the moment. It's only co-workers, so people working directly on the drafting process of your proposal.
We have then a question which I think comes from someone that is applying for more proposal at the moment. Can you generate a profile for a partner, so I guess an organization, so you do not have to fill in the same information over and over again for each new proposal?
I'm afraid it's not possible. So as I explained a bit earlier, we are using very separate system and very separate installation. So there is no share of database among programs. So if you have filled in some information for another program, it's not automatically transferred. There is no way of transferring this kind of information. And the same apply within our own Jems platform. Basically, there is nothing which would allow you to transfer data or to have it saved in the system. Because sometimes we have quite big institutions or big universities applying, but with different departments. So sometimes we can see some little differences, and it might be very tricky to develop such functionalities. So unfortunately, it's not possible to generate automatically a profile for a partner institution.
Yes, and if we can add that, it's also true that in any case, filling in this part of the Jems, it's rather easy. So like we know that you will have to like repeat this kind of information, but like the process should be rather smooth as it is set up now. And we have then a question from someone which I think that in the third question at the beginning said it was grumpy, I assume, because someone is asking if it's a horrible bug, the fact that unless you fill in all mandatory fields in some sections, you cannot save and therefore leave the page.
An horrible bug, okay. It's a matter of perception because we see it as an improvement, and some people ask us to develop this kind of security filter because we faced in the past a lot of people saving their page without having filled in everything. And, you know, developing an application form, it's quite a big exercise and you may forget to fill in some sections. And so we had often the case of people submitting a proposal without having filled in everything. And after the submission, you cannot modify anything. So it was quite problematic. So it's a matter of perception, I would say. It's not a bug. It's a new feature of the system. And we will see, let's say, test it live in real life for this first code. If we see it's creating some problem on specific pages, we can see if we can, let's say, lower the requirements, but that's at least how it will work for the code one. That you have to fill in every single section of a page before leaving it.
Thank you, Nicolas. So yes, this should be actually an improvement and a security check also for applicants. Again, one question regarding assigning users and collaborators. So I cannot assign another user as collaborator. Why do I get an error message? And I think you mentioned something already before, but maybe it's good to like repeat once again how this works and why people could get an error message.
So the very first step is to ask your collaborator to register on Jems. Then you have to collect his or her email address and to be very careful if there is no typo. So maybe just a little symbol or a capital letter can make the difference when you try to add this new collaborator into the system. And then you have to insert the email address, which is considered as a username in Jems, and to click on the button add, and hopefully it will work. It works so far in our test, and we didn't receive any problem. But if you are facing some troubles, we invite you to write us, and if possible, to make a screenshot when you are facing this problem, and it will also be nice for us to see what is the error message you are getting. For us, it's also easier to understand what would be the origin of the problem. But I can guarantee you it's working. So yeah, let's see. Send us an email and we try to find where is the source of the problem.
Thank you, Nicolas. Indeed, yeah. So far, like the error we faced was mainly about capital letters, but otherwise it seems to work quite smooth. We can maybe take still 2 questions before going on with the third part of your presentation. And so someone is asking if a project application can be created and submitted also by an organization which is not the lead applicant.
Yes, as long as the user being in the position of submitting as the edit or the management user rights, it's possible. So it's really linked to the profile of the person who will be in the position of submitting the proposal in Jems. So it's not directly linked to the name of the institution or the organization present in the application form as a lead applicant.
And related to this, we have another question, which is if I have project privileges, so either view, edit, or manage, but I am not the lead applicant, will I receive the funding decision and further communication via Jems?
So I'm just reading again the question. So when it comes to the decision, we will send it to the contact person of the lead applicant. The name of the email address mentioned in the application form. So that will be the way we will communicate, and it won't be, at least for the first call, via Jems, because email functionality is still at, let's say, at a very basic level. So we will communicate outside the platform and send you an email when the funding decision will be taken. So it's going to be to the contact person of the lead applicant mentioned in the application form.
Okay, so basically it's not that all people that are registered in Jems and are somehow linked to a project will receive an automatic confirmation, basically.
No.
Thank you, Nico. And maybe just one very last question, always regarding partners management. Can several partners or person fill in the project application form at the same time?
Yes, but, because there is a but, you should not work on the same page, because let's say there's going to be some data overwritten if you save at a different moment information on the same page. So it's very playing with fire, and you might become grumpy at that point. So we strongly advise you to organize yourself and to be careful when working in with different people in the application form. So not on the same page. It's very important.
Thank you, Nicolas. And with this, I think that I will give the word back to you, and then we will go on addressing the other question after the next part of presentation.
Okay, so let's move back on Jems. So now, after the phase where I gave some user privilege to my coworkers, let's start to work on the application form. So I will just come back to the dashboard and enter my project. And basically, it's important for you that you will have access to your application form, and you will see all the sections you have to fill in on the left menu. So you can see them here. So it's basically aligned to the offline templates we shared with you last autumn. So you will have access to all the section of the application form, but only you will have to fill in the fields required in step 1. So for some elements, it would be only required in step 2. So for instance, if you look at the menu and the section C, information linked to project management or long-term plans, we don't ask you any information in step 1. So it's going to be required in step 2 if you are invited. So we strongly advise you, or we invite you, to ignore these sections and don't lose time to fill in these parts. No bonus point would be given to you, and there won't be information under this specific section won't be taken into account in our assessment. So really focus on what is required in step 1. So as I said, you can see on the left menu the different section you will have to fill in. There is also one page dedicated to annexes, but in step 1 we don't require the upload of any document, so it's useless at this point of time. Then we will see later there's going to be the check and submit section, but I will come back a bit later to this specific stage. And you have also the button export at the bottom of this left menu, which will allow you to extract data and to extract the application form in the PDF format. So just for your information, we are still working on the user-friendliness of this document, so it's still in progress, but it's one option you will have to see what you have filled in the application form. But let's come back and let's focus now on the different section you will have to fill in. So the very first one, it's section A, project identification. And here it's very basic information you have to provide us on your project. So your acronym, your title. We ask you to tell us the duration of your projects. So in general, for us, it's 3 years, so 36 months. So what is different compared to the EMS? We don't ask you the exact start date and end date of your project, but we ask you the duration at the moment. Then you have to select the program priority. Everything is pre-filled by the system and it's linked to our Interact program, so it's automatically generated. And you have to select the specific objective you would like to apply. And we ask you to inform us and provide us some information on your project summary. What is quite important in step 1 under the section project summary, it's to tell us what would be your budget. So it's very important to inform us on this point in the summary. And when everything is filled in, you have to save the information. So that's what is required under the section A. There is a second page linked to project overview tables. Basically, it's not relevant in step 1 because it's going to be an overview of your financial tables at this level. So you can ignore this section. So when you have filled in the section A, project identification, we can move on the section B, project partners. And I will create now a new partner. So it's very easy. And the very first step is to provide basic information on your partner. And let's start with the lead partner. And I will fill in information. So we ask you some basic data. So the name of the organization in different language, when relevant, the name of the department, the type of partner, the legal status. So everything is under drop-down menus and automatically pre-filled by the system. So you have quite a long list. And if you are not happy with the first entries, you can select other. And we ask you to provide us with a VAT number. And if you are entitled to recover VAT. So when everything is filled in, you can create your partner. You have the button Create Available. And automatically the system will open new sections to be filled in. And as I said at the beginning, you will have to focus only on what is required in step 1. So basically information on the address, the contact details, the motivation of the partner. But we don't ask you to fill in any information linked to the budget or the co-financing of your partner budget. So it's going to be only in step 2 we ask you information on these topics. So let's focus now on what is required in step 1. So we have already filled in the identity of your partner institution. You will have to provide us with the address. And you have also drop-down menus which will allow you to select countries. I have a partner from France, from, let's say, Lyon. I have automatically the NUTS region pre-selected. And then you have to insert information. It's quite straightforward. Then you will have to provide us with data about the contact. But here, if you leave a page without saving information or without filling in everything, you will have a warning message preventing you to leave the page. And if you want to do it or to leave it, you have two options. And yeah, it's a kind of security filter applied in the platform Jems. But let's move on the page contact. Here it's also very basic information, name, first name, email address. And that's what I mentioned at the very beginning. So for the lead partner institution, we'll use the contact data of the contact person to provide you with information about the funding decision, or if you are invited or not in step 2. So it's going to be this specific email address here. So as a third step, we can move to the motivation. And here it's just basic information and a generic text requiring you to fill in here. So that's more or less what is required at the level of the partnership. So again, you don't have to fill in any information on the budget at this moment at the partner level. And when this is done, you will have the possibility to add new partners afterwards. And it's going to be the same process. First, to create the identity. We just go quickly through it. And then you will have again to fill in every single tabs. The address, the contact details, and the motivation. And at the end, you will have an overview of all your partners available. So that's what you have to fill in for the partnership. And then I will move on to the third big section, so the project description. So here you have to provide us with quite a lot of information about the content of your projects. So some information are automatically filled in based on the first information you provided us in the section A, like the program priority specific objective. You cannot modify it, it's already filled in by the system. But then you have to provide us with some information in different text box. So it's exactly the text box you had in the offline template we provided you last autumn. And you can find again the same section of this Word document. And step by step, you have to fill in all the information. You can save data. So just one comment linked to what was mentioned before. So you don't have to fill in every single page before leaving a page. You can start to fill in a couple of sections and save it on a regular basis. So it's quite a progressive process. So the security filter is having some benefits also here. So you have to fill in every single question. At some point, we will ask you to provide us information, for instance, on who will benefit from your project outputs. Here it's the target groups. And here you just have to add them one by one, and you have a pre-filled list. And you have to provide us. The same applied for the wider strategy and policies you will contribute to. And if you want to contribute to the green deal. And you have pre-filled 3 main strategies. So the user strategy, the EU Green Deal, the territorial agenda 2030. And if you have any other relevant strategy, you can select the section other and provide us with more details here. I advise you to save on a regular basis your work. It's just an advice just to avoid to lose data in case of, let's say, internet connection interruption at your level, or if there is a little problem. So it's better to work on a regular basis and to save on a regular basis. Then comes the section C26 and about the synergies. And here you can add the name of EU projects or initiatives for which your project will make use of. And you can add almost as much as you want. You can go till 20 initiatives or projects. So that's the upper limit at this level. And finally, the section C27 when you have a text box. And you save everything. So that's for the section C. Then you have a third part linked to the project partnership. Again, a basic text field information is required at this level. And then we will arrive to what we call the draft project work plan. Here you will have to create your work packages, where you will have to provide us with information on your specific objectives at the project level and also on the outputs. So basically you have an overview page and you have to add one by one your work packages. Then you have to fill in information work package by work packages. And it's quite simple. So first you have to provide us with a title, the project specific objective under this specific work package. Be careful we don't ask you any information on your communication objective and target groups. At this level, it's going to be only in step 2. So you don't have to fill in this specific field here. And nothing is preventing you to save the page if this field is empty. Then you will have access to another page when we ask you information on the overall description of this work package and the different responsibilities. You can add a description by clicking on this button. And then you have also a text field and you can save. We don't ask you any information in step 1 on the activities, so you can ignore this tab and you don't have to fill in anything here. So please ignore the tab activities at this stage. Finally, we ask you information on the outputs you would like to deliver. You click on the button Add Output, and you have basically basic information to fill in at this level. Some drop-down menus are already pre-filled, so it's linked to the information link available in our IP Interact program. And we ask you some information on the output when you deliver it and what would be the nature of this output. And don't forget to save. And you have to do this exercise work package by work package and to go step by step, avoiding the activities and go through these different tabs one by one. Last but not least, we have a section C5 called project results, and here it's also the same. You have to add the results you would like to reach. It's linked to the information and the objective we have set up in our Interact program, and it's already pre-filled. And you have to provide us with information when it will be delivered, the target values, and some description. And don't forget to save. Then for the rest of the application form, it's not so relevant. You have a basic overview of the timeline of your activities, so linked to the information you will have filled in the work package. It's a different work package. You will see step by step a work plan setup, but you don't have no impact. It's automatically filled in based on the information filled in the section C4. As I mentioned at the beginning, please ignore the section C7, project management. It will require only in step 2, so don't lose time to filling this long page. The same applied for the section C8. It's going to be only in step 2, so please focus on these elements. Then, as I said, no information is required on the budget, so please ignore the section D, and the same applied for the project lump sum. We don't ask you anything right now, so please ignore this page as well. So that's more or less what you will have to fill in, and I think now it's time to collect your questions. Elisa, the floor is yours.
Yes, we do actually have quite some questions, and like before going into them, just basically I can reply to 3 major points that I see coming up. One thing, like we have a couple of questions regarding the peak number. I think this comes probably from the fact that you followed the Central Europe webinar last week, and in Central they actually do ask for the peak number. There is no such requirement from the Alpine space. I see also some question regarding budget, but like as we just said, the budget won't have to be filled in this into step 1, so we now skip these questions. And there was also one regarding the budget simulator Excel, so you don't have to upload that file, not even into step 2. It's just a tool for you to help you like setting up the budget, but no need to upload it into the application. Even more like for step 1. And then someone was also asking if we have a guidance for the use of Jems, and yes, we will tell you later, like it's gonna be uploaded super soon, so it will be available. Coming to practical question, I see one here in Jems. You have 2000 characters for describing partner motivation. In the word description, it is limited to 500. What is the right number? Other differences?
So the right number is written in the offline template, and it's available in Jems. So what you have seen on your screen, it's our test environment, and we are playing a bit with the system. It was not one-to-one the exact requirements, so that's why you saw this limit of 2000 characters. But in our real Jems system, the productive environment, everything is matching what was written down in the offline template. So you don't have to worry about the size of some boxes, or there is no difference. It's one-to-one.
Thank you. And on this note, someone is also asking if copy pasting from Word to Jems is actually working.
It's good news, yes. Contrary to the EMS, there is no problem for doing this exercise. So we have run some tests and we didn't face bad surprises. So finger crossed that it will work for all of you. But yeah, it's working.
Thank you, Nicolas. And I was now checking, yeah, I found it now. There was one other question regarding format, basically, and someone was asking like if the which format number for the phone number they have to use because the one in the Word template doesn't work. But I assume that it's just if you leave out the parentheses and the spaces, it should work because like as long as you write all the numbers all in a row, the system shouldn't give any problem, right?
Yes, exactly. So when we developed the offline template, we didn't have the most recent version of Jems, so we were not able to test every single detail. So don't worry on the exact format. If it's not matching exactly what is written in the offline template, don't worry. Just add a phone number, it's going to be fine.
Thank you. And while I look for another question, which was always related to the partner part, I addressed this one, so maybe I find it in the meantime. So someone is asking confirmation. So project budget must be mentioned only in the project summary as the total project budget.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. And I can't seem to find the question I want to take on. Here it is. Regarding section B15, who is the contact person in this section? Is this the partner's project lead or an administrative contact? And why is there room for only one person?
So if I understand correctly, the question, so who is the contact person? Okay. Let
Section
me
B15.
B15. Okay. Basically, it should be the person. It's up to you. We don't have specific requirement. I would say here it would be the person managing or leading the project proposal, so not an administrative contact person. Because basically, if we need to contact you at a later stage, it should be the lead applicant or the future lead partner, which will be easily reachable. So maybe to avoid some administrative burdens, it's better to write down the contact details of the lead applicant or the one managing the proposal.
Thank you, Nicolas.
Just why there is only room for one person? Yeah, two was too much. So basically, we just need one contact detail, and we are following a general template used by several programs. So we have to reach kind of common agreement and to focus on very basic or simple things. So that's why there are only one possibility to add a contact person at this level.
Thank you. And I was checking, there is again someone asking confirmation like so if sections D and E on the budget have to be left empty, so not budget to be provided, no. And we can also add that the system is also set up in a way that if these parts are empty, the system won't detect any mistakes. So actually they are supposed to be left empty, and so don't fill them in because we won't assess them. And that's why you have a step one, because additional information will only be required in case you will be selected to go into step 2 as well. We have now some question regarding VPs. Can one insert more than 3 technical VPs?
Yes.
And if I may, I also raised this second question, so they go a bit together. Number of VPs. Is it advised to add cross-cutting VPs on management and communication on top of the technical VPs? So for example, to have 5 VPs, so 3 plus 2 of communication and management. I guess we can answer both at the same time.
Yes, so we don't, and we won't ask you to create a work package dedicatedly only to management or communication. So information on the management of your project would be asked in step 2, and it's going to be via a list of questions. So if you remember, if you saw it, or I can show it to you a bit later on the section C7 of your application form. It's dedicated to the project management, and here in step 2 only, you will have to fill in this kind of information. When it's come to communication, it's one of the major change between our current program and the new one we are starting. We don't have now any dedicated work package communication, but information on your communication activities would be asked in step 2, and it would have to be developed at the level of each work package implementation or the technical work package. So communication activities will be directly linked to the description of your own implementation activities. So there's gonna be no more artificial separation between communication and the implementation of your projects. So we will provide you with more detail for those invited in step 2 at a later stage. But as such, you don't have to create one single work package for management and one single work package for communication. That's one of the big difference between the Interregal Path Space 1420 and the new we are starting right now. And when it's come to the number of work packages to be created, so we recommend you to create 3, but if you want to create more, it's possible. So there is nothing technically preventing you to create a 4th or a 5th work package. But you have to be careful and to be proportionate in the way you will develop your work plan, and you have to assess if it's really relevant to add an additional work package, or a 4th one, a 5th one. It's up to you. It's linked to your own internal intervention logic and the way you would like to develop your activities. But having more than 5 work packages is going to be too much. By experience, you have only 3 years of implementation. You have very specific objectives to fit in, and if you cannot do everything in 3 years, so you have to focus on what you can do, what you can deliver. You have to do a reality check somehow in the way you will be planning your work plan, and 3 is a recommendation from our side. By experience, that's what on average our projects have, but it's up to you to decide if you go to 4 or to 5, and I would say 5 would be a maximum.
Thank you, Nicolas. And I've seen that in the meantime, there were some other few questions regarding this. So again, asking if it's possible to have more than 3 VPs, and again, asking about management and communication. So I assume that with what you said now, you should have also replied to this additional few questions, which were all on the same line. One question we have here regarding observer and external experts. So here, is there some room for observer in step 1 on the portal?
No. So basically, we ask you information on your project partners, and basically we have a specific field linked to the motivation, what the partner can bring to your partnership. But that's it. We don't ask any additional information on the involvement of observers or on the number of observers you would like to involve. So basically, you just have to focus in step 1 on the project partners. And the same apply for external. We don't require any specific information at this level in step 1.
Thank you. There was in the meantime another question. Do I have to list the external expert in the application? So as you just said now, no, it won't be needed in step 1. I take maybe one last question for now, and then we can look into the submission part. how many projects can be mentioned in the section C26 of the application form?
20. That's the maximum after our test. We have seen it's 20 is the upper limit. So just select the best 20 projects.
Thank you, Nicolas. So yeah, if fine with you, I give you back the word for the final part, and then we try to address like all the remaining question after that.
So let's move back to Jems, and I will log out and access the system with another profile. And here I would show you, the very last phase of a project. So how to submit a proposal. And what we have in the system, it's pre-submission checks. So some more kind of security filter to avoid submission of an application form without all the required information we are expecting. So where you can submit an application form. So again, you have to access your project proposal, go on the left menu, and if you look at the left menu, you have a specific button called Check and Submit. You click on it, and you will have an access to the page Check and Submit. Here, it's a two-step approach somehow. You cannot submit a project proposal without having run pre-submission checks. The pre-submission checks will be run automatically by the system, and they will somehow show you where there is deficiency or where exactly you missed something. If there are not, say if there are some fields not properly filled in, so empty, the system will alert you. So I will just run it now. And basically, it's very simple. If a field is properly filled in or complete, you will receive a green light and you have no action to do. At the opposite, if you see a warning message, the system is alerting you on the fact that you didn't fill in properly one section. It means that the system is not checking the quality of your answer because it's impossible, but it's just selecting the fields and checking if they are filled in or not, if the field is empty or not. In that case, you can see I have done a good job on the section A, everything is properly filled in. The same applied for the partnership, I informed everything which was required. But on the section C, there is something going wrong. And on the section C2, in fact, I forgot to fill in something. So without having this problem solved, you cannot submit your project proposal. So you have to come back to the section in question, spot where there is something wrong. So in that case, it was the very first question, empty. You fill in it, you save. And if I apply and I do the same exercise, you will see now that this section C2 is properly filled in and I have a green light. And when I have everything in green, as you can see, the button Submit Project is available and I can submit the project proposal. And it's very simple, you can confirm. So it's a two-step approach. First, you have to run the pre-submission checks to see if everything is working well and was filled in the application form. And then when everything is green, you're in the position of submitting your project proposal. So you have to be careful that you don't wait the very, very last minute to run these pre-submission checks so that you have enough time to spot what went wrong and to have enough time to correct everything. And then I would advise you to play a bit with the system and to play with these pre-submission checks and to check them on a regular basis, just to see, for instance, after having filled in one application, one project partner information page, if everything is all right, why not using the system and running a pre-submission check and see if everything is all right. It's up to you to organize yourself, but we strongly advise you to not wait the very, very last minute for submitting everything, but to play a bit with the system and to use this functionality as something, or to see it as something which will help you to fill in everything properly and to avoid bad surprises and to avoid you to submit something incomplete. So that's the logic of this two-step approach. And so I repeat, you have to go on the check and submit page to run the pre-submission check. When everything is fine and green, you can submit a proposal. And then you will see a new status for your project proposal. It's going to be the status submitted. So it means that the application is sent at the JS level. You cannot work on it anymore. You cannot edit anything. Everything is frozen. And you have only one chance to submit your project proposal. You cannot submit it and redraft it and submit again. So it's only a one shot. So you have to be very careful before submitting everything. So that's more or less the logic around the pre-submission check and what you have to do for submitting your project proposal. So we strongly advise you to not wait the last minute, to know who will be in charge of clicking on the check and submit buttons, just to organize yourself internally. And now I wish you good luck also for this last step, but maybe there are going to be some question at the lead applicant level, Elisa.
Yes, we do have still some questions. Some of them, to be honest, you already addressed while going through your presentation. There are few which are still maybe related to the third part we talked about before. How many activities can be added to the work package in section C4? Is the number of activities limited?
So there is one limit, it's 0. You don't have to fill in any activity in step 1. So you don't have to worry about it right now. We'll provide you with more information if you are invited in step 2. So we will organize a new session to explain you how to fill in the complete application form, but in step 1, you don't have to fill in information on the activities.
Thank you. And then one question again regarding management. So in step 2, we cannot allocate any staff cost to management, even in case of LP, which I guess it's important to stress it again now, because even if it's involving step 2, it's impacting also on how people are setting up now the application form. So as we said, like, no, it won't be a separate WP like it was in the past, right, Nicolas?
Exactly. So you don't need to create a work package management and you don't need to create a work package communication. And we don't ask you any information in terms of budget in step 1. So your finance manager can go on holiday.
Thank you. And we then have few questions which are quite similar. So someone is asking, can we change a partner in step 2? Someone is asking, can we change contact person in step 2? So maybe just a brief info about what can be changed afterwards.
So basically, when you will be invited in step 2, the information provided in step 1 will be taken over by the system and will be available again for you. And every single field will be editable again. So if you need to do some changes at the level of the partnership or in some other section, it's possible. So don't worry if you think you need to improve still some things or you need to change some details, it's going to be possible in step 2. So the application form will be somewhat transferred and will be available to you for editing again all the fields we have seen today and what you will have to do in step 2.
Thank you. Here again, one question, can the project be submitted several times before the deadline? I think you already answered before. So like, it's not like, for example, in the case of the participant portal for Horizon, that you can do it more than once. So in this case, like once you submit it, that's it. You cannot reopen that once again. So I think we already answered to this question before. And again, maybe we can take this one. Can I submit an application with warnings in the pre-submission checks? Again, you already mentioned that, but maybe it's good to stress it once again.
So basically, it won't be possible. You have to, if you see any error message or any warning message, so this red exclamation mark, you cannot submit your proposal. You have first to fix or to solve the issue raised by the system, which are alerting you that there are some deficiencies in your application form. So it's really take it as something helping you in this exercise of the drafting of the application form. So it's a tool to support you and to ensure that you have filled in everything, because we really faced in the past a lot of proposal having some empty fields, and yeah, it's always a pity because you don't have so many options. You can submit only one time, so it's really a support tool provided by the Jems platform to ensure that you have filled in properly your application form. So with the warning message, you cannot submit. Everything has to be with green lights.
Thank you, Nicolas. And yes, it's basically what we already mentioned at the very beginning. So these mandatory fields, these pre-checks, I mean, it's all tools that should be there to support you, to make sure that you will submit an application, which at least from the formal point of view, it's okay. So it should be a help for you not to forget anything. Again, regarding the submission of the application, we have one question. Can the saved application form be exported as a Word or PDF file?
So it's possible only with a PDF format. So we don't have a Word option available. So yeah, under the section export on the left menu, you have the possibility to extract the application form, the PDF format. And we are currently working on this document to make it a bit more user-friendly. So don't be too scared at the moment. It will become nicer in the next days.
Yes, indeed. And I guess it's also important maybe to mention that this PDF can be downloaded anytime. So you can also download it more than once if for any reason, like you don't do it exactly when you do submit the application form. You can also enter afterwards into the system and download it whenever you want to. So it's there. One question maybe here, I assume, I don't know if, because someone is asking, is it possible to delete a proposal? How? I don't know if it's maybe behind this also the fear to maybe delete it by mistake. It can also be, so.
So you don't have to be scared because there is no possibility to delete a proposal at the moment. So once it's created, it's forever somehow. So there is no deletion option available at the partner level and also at the GS level. We cannot delete a proposal for you. So you have to live with it. And if you're not happy or if you want to stop working on it, yeah, it's okay. That's how it is, and no, there is no option for deleting a proposal available so far.
Thank you. And checking now, one question again regarding the submission. It's do we have to upload the partnership agreement? Which I guess we can confirm there is no need to do that.
Exactly, it's only required in step 2, so no need to upload the partnership agreement or any other document. Anyway, if you upload anything, we won't check it and we won't have a look at any extra document. Our assessment will be only based on the information you will provide us in the application form filled in the Jems platform. So no extra document will be assessed anyway.
Thank you for confirming this. I would step back to 2 questions. I think it's just 2 we have still regarding the filling in the application form, which we missed before. One is WUPI outputs. Choose from program output indicators of each priority detailed in our cooperation program. If the output cannot be linked, I'm not sure I understand the question. If you do, Nicolas, otherwise we can ask the person who typed it in to maybe explain a bit better.
To be honest, I don't fully get the question, so
okay,
maybe
then
the person who wrote it, if he or she can drop us a line and contact the help desk, and we will try to answer the best way we can.
It's not easy to understand if it's like a technical problem or something, so it's good if they can like explain us a bit better, so then we can address it. And now I don't find anymore the other question that I wanted to take into. Here it is, always about content. So how many strategies or policies should be filled in? How many projects should be filled in? For the project, I think we already answered before. It's mainly the part about strategies that we didn't mention so far.
So for the project, it's 20, the maximum. And for the strategy and policies, so at least you have 3 pre-filled options. So the USALP strategy, the EU Green Deal, and the territorial agenda 2030. So you're not obliged to fill in everything for each of these 3 options, but up to you, linked to what you are dealing with. Plus you have an option other, and then you can add additional strategy or policies. But to be honest with you, I don't know by heart the maximum limit. So maybe we will try to improve our guidance and to add this information as soon as possible.
Yes, we can double check this and let you know for sure. And one question which I don't know if we are already able to reply now, but I'll try to share it with you, Nicolas. It's what about the FLCs? Do they have to have multiple accounts for each program, separate accounts? So I assume they refer to the fact that they are controlling projects in different programs of the Interreg world. That's what I intended, but I assume that yes, they have to register each time to each portal, right? Like applicants.
Yes, it's the same logic as for any applicant. So we have all separate installation between programs. So each time the controller will have to create a new account if he or she is working, for instance, in Central, the controller will have to create a Central Europe Jems account. And if the same person is working for a work program, this controller will have to create again a new account. So yeah, the same logic is applying for everyone. So for applicants, controllers, yeah, there is no difference.
Thank you, Nicolas. And since we are now getting closer to the end, I would just maybe quickly answer a couple of questions. There is someone is asking what to fill into the VAT number part in the project description, partner description if they don't have a VAT number. I guess this is again connected to the presentation that was from Central the other week, because Central has this mandatory checking. So basically, if the VAT number is not matching the requirements of the system, you're not allowed to go on. But in the case of Alpine Space, we don't have these kind of requirements. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nicolas. But
yes,
we did some testing and it was fine, right?
Exactly. Otherwise, in our guidance or in our annex of the manual, you have a detailed explanation on the format expected or the different numbers expected per country. So I think it's in our annex of the program manual where we have a complete guidance on what is expected in the application form in each single field. And here you have a more detailed explanation on what is required in terms of VAT number. But from a technical point of view, the system is not blocking any specific format. So basically you are free to feed in the information because the format and the information differs between countries. So here I would invite you to have a close look at our annex of the program manual, where we are detailing and guiding you on what you have to fill in every single section of the application form, and you will see the different formats available.
Indeed. Thank you, Nicolas. So then I will just skip the last few questions that I see in, because some of them we already answered, and I think that they should already be clear. Really just remember like that it's important to manage properly who is working on Jems and when, because I see again some few questions regarding this. So like it's advised that, you know, not so many people are working on the system and also not at the same time. And someone is asking if after step 1, is it possible to organize a Q&A session for the submission of steps 2? And yes, as we said before at the very beginning, there will be a separate moment to address the small scale application and also for the steps 2 of the classic one. So for sure, like all then the question regarding budget and all the section which you don't have to fill be in now will be addressed in a second moment. So of course, we will also answer to all these kind of question afterwards. And with this, I think I can give you back the floor, Nicolas, for the conclusion.
Okay. Thank you, Elisa. Thank you to all of you for your contribution and your questions. So I hope you are more familiar with the Jems platform after this session of today. But in case you have some questions, of course, we're here to support you, and we have developed a technical guidance, which will be uploaded very, very soon on our website. So it's going to be on the page dedicated to Jems. And yeah, it's a matter of hours, I think. So we will upload it as soon as possible. And basically, it will be summarizing most of the information I explained you today, or what Elisa told you during this session. Otherwise, if you have more specific question, or if we are not covering every single question in the technical guidance or during this session, feel free to contact us via our help desk. So we have a dedicated email address. And yeah, we invite you to write us, to send us screenshots or all the information into your project, so that we can more quickly identify where the problem is and how we can support you. So you have these options, and yeah, I hope everything will work smoothly. I think everything is on the right track, and if you have any question, please don't be shy and don't hesitate to contact us. We're here to support you in this application phase on Jems. Thanks to all of you. And if you like this Q&A session, there's going to be a new one very soon, linked to the small scale project. So it's going to be the 21st of February at 2 o'clock. So please visit our website to get more information on this new section, which will be dedicated to the small scale projects. So hope to see you also there for this new Q&A session. And yeah, thanks to all of you, and goodbye. Bye-bye.